All right, so YouTube finally gave me that option. We'll go live. We'll get our screen share started. I got comments open. It should make for a really good day. All right, excellent. So if you're there in the chat, go ahead and say good morning. So hello and good morning. Wednesday, August the 18th. Definitely watching Ethereum today, and Bitcoin, also some of the different stocks that we have in the stock market. And as usual, go ahead and use that comment for greeting. And beyond that, you could also ask about any stocks or cryptos that you're interested in seeing or talking about. And I'm here to talk about it with you. So always excited for another live stream. I got my super chat features there. So there's also stickers and stuff. So if you want to just look for a way for bigger participation or increased support of the channel, you can also use that. And all that kind of stuff. Any support that you guys show beyond just viewing is always appreciated. So let's get Webull out. All right. There we go. So to the chart for Ethereum here. So this is Ethereum against the US dollar, and we can see the peak back here at 43.83. You can see currently that we went up a little bit over the $3,300 mark where I had that line of resistance, and resistance did hold this time. So we had just yesterday, we went just below 3,000. We went to 29.51, and from there, today when we moved on to this one, we also had 29.91. So right now support is holding at 3,000, although we do have room down to 2,800, and I believe that support is going to hold at 3,000. But if it should give way, and I don't think it would give way very long, we have a safety net right here at about 2,800. We can see a decent amount of retracement on this one. Actually, it's just going to be, it's going to continue to be crypto. It's going to continue to be volatile. We have NFTs, ETFs on the horizon. NFTs are here, ETFs on the horizon. And then also the DeFi space is pumping. We have very, very lively measurements, including institutional interest, and also big investors also wanting more and more exposure to crypto, and Ethereum is one of those that is certainly being looked at beyond Bitcoin. So let's look intraday at Ethereum. There we go. I got to make sure I can see my comments here. Perfect. So like I said, anything that you want to add into the comments, you can go ahead and do so. You do have to be a subscriber in order to do those comments. So you can click the subscribe button and then comment freely as we move along from there. So here's the intraday. You can see the line of support that we're establishing on this 30-minute chart that we have for Ethereum. I'll zoom out just a little bit more so we can see that. You can also see that line of resistance that I have drawn, that on the 30-minute, you can see a little bit more clearly how we've peaked over it, but we haven't been able to sustain levels up above that 3,300 mark. And so we're tumbling back down to around 3,000. Bitcoin also pulling back a little bit, but when we go back out to the daily chart, you can see the heck of a run that we've had recently with Ethereum. And I said it's natural to have a resting period in here. As a matter of fact, you want a resting period so that we can see a little bit better where to find support and resistance more locally to the most recent run up that we have here. So I think that we're taking a breather, and I think that it is possible that we see below 3,000. As a matter of fact, today I will likely dollar cost average a little bit more into my Ethereum position. It's always tough after seeing it down around like $1,700 per token and being able to add to my position pretty heavily around at those levels to continue to add. It won't be as heavy as it was at those levels. However, I'll still add to my position here because I think that as we're taking a rest, it's a good time to just add on a little bit. So if we zoom in a little bit, what we have right now, you can call this like a doji morning star that's forming up right now. So we have sort of a large bodied candle here where we had a close that was lower than the open. And now we're getting this narrow range towards the bottom of this. Tomorrow, if we get an engulfing candle that has an open around where we see this doji, or maybe even a little bit below or above, but the top of it bring us back around 2,600, especially if it brings us back into the 3,300s. Then we have some really good confirmation that we can turn this thing around. You can look at the RSI and the MACD that I have here according to the momentum that we reached into an overbought area here on the momentum indicator. We're still up in the 50s, so this is still bullish territory. You can see the MACD throwing a sell signal there, and I think that we're just setting up for that next opportunity as we move forward. Hello, Taco. Great to have you today. I think that we're going to have a decent amount of green in the market today after the big red day that we saw yesterday. So we're going to have some of those coming back. So since we have about 6.5 minutes until the market opens, I want to start off with a smaller company. So feel as you will about this, but seeing NNDM under $6 per share. So yesterday we bottomed out at 529 and we closed at 539. And as I mentioned prior, when this was in the excuse me, when this was in the low sixes, I said if this drops into the fives, that's an area where you're going to find very strong support, given their strong cash position. That right now their market cap is probably close to equal to what their cash position is. So that doesn't really take into account any other value or future fundamental value that you would have in their company. They do report earnings. Do we have? Looks like we might have it as of an hour ago. Second quarter financials. All right. So let me see. Reported quarter losses of 5 cents per share. This is 81% increase over losses, 27% share period last year. Okay, company expected 811,000 sales this quarter. This is over the 287,000. Okay, so they gave us some year-over-year metrics in that one, although I'm more interested in quarter-over-quarter than year-over-year. So I want to see, let me see, Globe News Wire. So we have a little bit of just of a press release there. Let me see. And then it's also from Benzinga. So let me see if Seeking Alpha. We'll jump into NNDM there as well and see if they put out any growth numbers over the last quarter. Like I said, year over year, we already knew they grew, and we already expected for them to have strong numbers when we compare it to last year, especially at the rather big part of the pandemic. All right, so maybe I forgot to hit enter here. So down about 4% in the pre-market. I'm sorry, 4% from yesterday. Pre-market is up about 4%. There we go. All right, so Nano Dimension, Q2, okay, good. All right, cash and cash equivalents together with bank deposits, 1.4 billion as of June 30th compared to that December. Okay, so let's do something else. Let's go to their financials. And let's switch it to quarterly here. All right, so not going to see a whole lot here. That's hard to see. Let's see. Let's do one other thing, and then we'll move on to some other stocks because I don't want Nano Dimension to completely gum up everything that we do. I just want to see if we have any sort of if we're going sideways, if we're dropped down, if we're up a little bit from where they were at before. So let's go to their financials here on Seeking Alpha. All right, and we can also take a look and see where they're performing in the pre-market so far. They've actually dropped down just a little bit from where they were at. I think they were up at almost 5% up in the pre-market, and they've calmed down a little bit since those earnings reports have come out. And that could just be a little bit of profit taking, not a lot of volume going on here. And it looks like we are getting near that 50-period simple moving average, and that we are also in slightly bullish territory on the RSI for the momentum, at least during the pre-market times that we have here. All right, so revenues. Let me see. Period type. Let's go to quarterly. All right. So did they tell us the revenue for this this most recent one? I'm gonna have to look into this and see how they're performing. Really, we're waiting to see the fruits of the or the results that we get coming out of any sort of marketing moves that they've made. The Delta variant. I don't know if Yoav Stern's going to back away from this a little bit because he wanted to wait for the pandemic to mostly pass before they moved into the marketing, and said that it inhibited their ability to really get out and make those sales and do the visitations that they need to in order to market the right way. So we'll see as this plays out, and hopefully we get some more information soon because this is relatively new. So, all right. Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that one. Let's see other ones that we have. So Digital Turbine, currently still rocking in the pre-market, is struggling between $50 and $51 per share. I think that we're going to find really good support in here in this area. And when you look at the level twos that we actually have a lot of support coming in. We have a relatively large number of orders at $50.60, and then 50.50, 50.30, 50.21. And we don't really have 51.32 is the first time that we have a lot of orders on the sell side for that downward pressure on the share price. So let's go into the intraday. We have about 40 seconds until the bell. So lots of institutional investment in Digital Turbine. They put in triple-digit growth numbers. They're expected to continue to put in triple-digit growth numbers throughout the years, throughout 2025. Also, the mobile advertising market is also expected to grow significantly between now and then, and that's the space that they're in. And I believe that they partner with Samsung with single tap installs of the different apps. That's also going to drive revenues for them and also really push forward with their sales. They have a lot of incredible things going for them, and they are just struggling ever since August the 10th. We dropped down below the 200-day simple moving average. There we go. Market's open. Let's see who's moving for us. There we go. All right. Looks like we have a little bit of drop right at the open here. So Arcamoto yesterday went under $11 per share, and today we're starting to trade within the body of this candle. So tomorrow, if we get a green candle that engulfs this one, that could also be a bullish sign for us to turn this thing around. Max selling pressure, they actually went down to $7.32 per share, which is a significant drop from where they're at now. And that's one of the troubles for the prices that they're trading at is, and you might actually find some weakness on the trading, is that there's really not a lot covering us from where they're currently trading down to this next bottom. So that would be a very significant fall, and like 40% fall from where it's at in order to get down to those levels. And nobody really wants to put in that sort of risk. So their sales numbers are weak. They had an adjustment downward from over 500 deliveries for 2021 down to 425 expected for it. And they say the shortages are really impacting them, and that they're using the time to make further innovations and design changes that will create overall better user experiences. And I think that they are at the I think that there's going to be some good demand for them moving forward as the people get out and as they try them out. I think that word of mouth will help spread it through the experiences that people have. And I'm not going to be surprised if they actually do quite well going into 2022. I think 2021 is going to be that struggle year for them, and I think that they'll rotate out of this pretty well. Still something that's going to have a decent amount of risk to it. All right. Hello, Poppy. Good to have you. All right. So let me see. Xpung. There we go. Whoop. I missed it. They jump around too much. There we go. Perfect. Ooh, this is very nice. So we have this peak back here, and it sort of has tapered off a little bit off the highs. And we can see the lows trending upward as well. As a matter of fact, we're getting close to that 200-day. And moving past that, that could hit resistance and then turn into support. This could be something that turns into a bullish wedge for us, something that over time will really cause a squeeze as time goes on. So we're going to have to watch what EVs are doing. We're going to have to watch what's going on in China itself with their markets. Afghanistan is something that that was likely going to weigh just a little bit on the markets as well. And if we get signs of recovered growth, or if we get those the signals for strengthening in the EV space, increased deliveries, increased demand, those are things that are going to be catalysts for them. XPeng had very good delivery numbers coming out of July, so September the 1st. So what is today's the 18th, so 13, 14. So like 2 weeks from today is when we get that next delivery announcement. We're just right in the middle of it. And if they come out strong like they did last month, then we could have some very strong price action coming up for them. So I think watching that microchip shortage or the semiconductor shortage and seeing how they navigate their way through them, and also watching that demand go, XPeng, NIO, Li, they all have a very good shot at that. While we're in the EV vein of things, we'll go check out Tesla. And I have some drawings there. I had the wedge drawn. They broke out of that, had another pattern. They sort of broke out, but then I said if there's negative news, it could fail. And I believe that on Monday is when we found out about the investigation of their autopilot system. And then from there, it brought us right back down to support at the 200-day. So that's where we're currently sitting with Tesla on support. So if you're looking for a day to dollar cost average, not that any of this is financial advice because I'm not licensed to give it, I'll talk about myself. If I'm looking for a good day to dollar cost average into it, then today I would think would be a much better day for dollar cost averaging than when we saw up in the 700s. I believe that will not only retake the 700s, but I think also August the 19th, I think, is AI Day. That's tomorrow, Thursday. Let's see if we have anything here. Out of Barron's, they're probably going to price wall me, though. I'm not going to be able to see through it. Tesla is facing a critical technical support level. A break could mean bulls are no longer in charge, a trader warns. Yeah, that happens all the time with Tesla. Let me see. Tesla is prepping for giant supercharger expansion ahead of opening network to other EVs. We know about that too. I think that's a movement that would be very wise for Tesla, and maybe some added competition for other people like ChargePoint, for example. That would be in the EV charging space. Let me see. All right. DJ Tesla ranks highest for battery charging, but more needs to be done before EVs take over the world. Okay, perfect. So we do have AI Day tomorrow, which is used as recruitment for leading developers in the AI space. And we should get some progress updates from Tesla from that. And so if we get some things that are really highly anticipated or really surprising for it, that could be that positive catalyst. This little pop-up today could be a little bit of coming off of that pressure, coming a little bit off of support. So we'll have to watch Tesla in the meantime. That AI Day, the bad news I think outweighed the rumors of AI Day coming up. So hopefully we get some good developments there about maybe a new beta release or something for their autonomous driving. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out, and hopefully tomorrow we know a little bit more. If not by the time we do the live stream, it's probably a little bit later in the day. So it'll probably be for Friday's live stream that we could unpack a little bit of that information. IMMR and haptic feedback technology. Nice. All right, Poppy, let's check it out. There you go. Immersion. All right, let's change again. Excellent. All right, so about haptic technology in the first place, bringing in more of the senses into the experience, I think, is going to make it more emotionally impactful, more realistic, and we can really round out our experiences by adding more into it. So for the haptic technologies, I think that there's just a large potential for the haptic technologies. I don't know how well Immersion stands to capitalize on those. If they're a leader in their space, I don't know what the total addressable market is or the market opportunity for haptic technologies. I know that on a chemical level in my brain, having the haptics on my phone just when I tap to interact with it. There's something about it being palpable, feelable that it just makes it sort of satisfying in a way, you know, something that would be sensory stimulating. So as far as haptic technologies goes, I guess really getting people to really experience them and feel the difference, because it, you know, if you turn the haptics off, you don't really think a whole, or if you never had the haptics on, you don't really think that you're missing anything. And then you turn the haptics on, whether it's on your phone or maybe a remote control, or maybe it's some sort of wearable, and it really does change, even at the feedback level, to get some sort of feedback that an interaction has happened or an action has taken place. I think it also change things up for it and really fill things out. So right now, where are they trading at? 652, and the low analyst estimate out of 2 analysts on this is $12 per share. Let's see where TipRanks puts it. Good morning, Marshall. Doing fine, pal. How are you? All right, so they're only reporting one, so it must be a recency thing. And this should load in just a moment that we get the analyst forecast popping up here as soon as the page loads. So for them, that would be over doubling it. So Craig Hallam, $12. And then the 15 we have is from a single star analyst with not that great of a return. This is an entire year ago. So the 12-month price target of $12. And if we look at the stock price of it, we had the run up to 16, and then it looks like around 9 we certainly fell short of that 200 day. It looks like it was acting as fairly good resistance for us, and then we're trading under it, and then we had a gap down yesterday. So let's look at the news. There we go. DJ Immersion Corporation, Jared Smith Q2 results. Okay. So they beat on EPS. Let me see, sales. They also beat on that one, and they dropped anyway. So I wonder if there was more priced in, that there were bigger expectations for it, and it just failed to meet those expectations, or if it's the forward outlook for the company, that something about the fundamentals of the company changed in order to get us to drop down here. We are almost back where we were at. Let me see what date that is. There we go. So back in November, we're back to November pricing with the most recent price drop. And let's see, volume wise, the volume coming into this, would be decent confirmation, and it at least allows us to know about where the volume is in that low to mid 6 range for emerging technologies. So you go back and read what you're asking here. Yeah, I think haptic feedback, I think, is something that I think more people need to experience it, because until you really do, I don't think you get it. So playing a computer game or playing some sort of simulation without it versus playing with it, it brings in more of the senses, and I think that there's some importance there. So we'll see if other people think the same thing for it, and hopefully we get some more analyst coverage on it sometime soon. There we go. So Digital Turbine finally finding bottom here. Cooler Technologies making another jump today. It flashed up to 9% for a moment. We're actually touching on the 50 day. This one is lithium battery transport. Had a big day way back here before selling off and then ramping up. And then it looks like the 200 day is also acting as decent support. So that gives us a range for the price action for it. So I wonder what's causing the little bit of a jump that we have today back up to resistance. All right. So let's see what else we have moving. Actually, I do want to stop by Bitcoin. There we go. So I was mentioning before about the morning doji star, morning star doji, whatever you want to call it, the candle formation that we have. And we're still in bullish territory for the RSI. There's the MACD cross on the daily chart as well, throwing out a sell signal. And honestly, if you followed it, I don't think that you would have had a bad setup from the buy signal that was thrown back here to the sell signal that's thrown up here. It would have really worked out for you this time. However, I think that this is going to be short-lived. So we're tagging resistance here, and tomorrow is going to be that important telling day if we're going to continue to turn this thing around. If we get an engulfing candle that takes us back up to resistance or even through resistance where it starts acting as support again, then we know a little bit more certainty where that bottom is more recently for Bitcoin, around 44,000. And then it's hitting resistance on the 200-day right around 45 and a half thousand. So we have room from there, though, up to over 46, almost 47,000. So you can see those different lines that I have drawn for Bitcoin. And its candle formation is looking a lot like the same thing as what we have for Ethereum. And I don't think that we're going to get that huge sell-off. And that's where people are worried, because we've had a big run-up recently, and they're worried about a big sell-off to follow. And I just think with the ETFs becoming more and more imminent, because I think it's just a matter of time until they get approved. Once we see those ETFs come in, there's just going to be a huge amount of buying that also has to come in to fill out those ETFs as well. So we'll watch that over time. We'll watch that play out, and I don't think that we're going to be disappointed by the results for Bitcoin or for Ethereum. Just in case you weren't in the there we go. Just in case you weren't already watching by the time that this came out, there's Ethereum, and you can see it's very well forming that narrow range doji that we have right now. Little wick up, little wick down, almost symmetric in a very narrow range between the open and the current closing price, which this is a daily chart, so this is going to continue to play out over time. I think this is going to hold in the narrow range today. If it does drop within the next few days, I think we're going to find really good support coming in at around $2,800 per token. Over to Coinmarketcap, we have Cardano back under $2 per token. There we go. This is one that can also take off over time. And I think that some of the hype came out. We got some of the sell-off, and now we're starting to settle a little bit into a better price. And so I think that this is going to see back over $2 as long as Ethereum and Bitcoin go back and retest resistance or even break through resistance. Then we're going to see some really good price action coming out of Cardano. Let me put up the candles here for this. All right, Marshall, I will check out AMC. It's definitely picked up a little bit more momentum recently. We've fallen off a little bit momentum-wise, but we can certainly come back to that. So we have a little bit of a bullish flag going on here where we're trailing downward. And we actually have an opportunity where we could break to the upside. And if we do, again, I think that this is going to follow a little bit more of what Bitcoin and Ethereum do. So it's going to follow the big ones. But as we come up on I think it's the Alonso hard fork, where we get the smart contracts in September, where as we see the results of that, we're going to see the really big price action. And I think it's before the end of 2021, we're going to see us putting in a new high on Cardano. And I think that we're also going to see that those highs that we had for Bitcoin and Ethereum retested as well, if not broken by the end of 2021, even into early 2022. All right. So Marshall brought up AMC, so we'll take a look at AMC. There we go. All right. So coming back up to 37.39. So we don't have the same volumes that we had back here. They sort of tapered off. It sort of sputtered out. But we do find a little bit where that support comes in right around $30 per share for AMC. And we're making a little bit of a run right now. And now it looks like we, if it breaks what we have for yesterday. So yesterday's high was 38.78. If we come back over that high, which today it fell short of that 38.70, that could end up being resistance for us, where we end up just tumbling back down and testing support back again at around $30 per share, maybe even a little bit under. It looks like we bottomed out at around $28 per share, or almost 29, just under 29. So $29 to $30 per share from its current level that it's at right now. What we need to see, let me see, AMC rest stock, longest swing streak in 3 months. Okay. I had to jump in retail. All right, I just wanted to see if we had any sort of news on it. But if you take a look at the volume, when we start to see volume support coming in with the price action, we start to get a really good confirmation that it's going to continue. And right now we have a price wall at about 37.50. So keeping that support and that downward pressure from where it's currently at, and not a lot of buy side support coming in. So I don't know anything about short interest on AMC, how high it currently still runs, how many days to cover the companies have who might be holding a high short interest on this. It's just something that we're going to have to watch and see if that momentum does catch back up, and if that a short squeeze or even another gamma squeeze should happen to take place. We just need that next bigger push in order for it to take place. All right, let's see what else we got here. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust coming in about even right now. So this one trailing off, you can see it coming down towards the 200-day moving average that it peaked out around $38 to $39. So the high 38s into $39 range. And this, along with the strength of Bitcoin. So if you're looking for exposure and you can hold securities, but not something like Bitcoin directly in your portfolio, Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is one of those alternatives that you have. And you can see, if you know the daily chart for Bitcoin, if you recognize this, it is very similar to what we have as the daily chart for Bitcoin. So this is going to continue to track along with the price action that we see for Bitcoin. So if we get a next rip up for that, then we'll have another rip here. So getting near support here isn't nearly as good as reading the indicators on the Bitcoin chart itself. I know I just had it up, but since I stopped by Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, I might as well go back here. So what we're looking at here is Bitcoin currently sitting under the 200-day, so sitting at an area where we're going to find resistance nearby. And we want to watch for that resistance to be broken in order to see that resistance also broken for Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So this is going to be the indicator, and the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust is always going to lag just behind what Bitcoin itself does. And with that said, we have the Ethereum Grayscale Trust. And so for this one, you can see a little bit of a gap down, and this is going to track whatever Ethereum happens to do over time. So if you recognize the daily chart from Ethereum, we're going to get a very similar chart here for the Ethereum Grayscale Trust as well. And I think that we're easily in the very near future going to come back and retest resistance up here, and I think that we'll actually break it. And so we'll watch this go from the high 20s where it sits now. It'll take us back into the low to mid 30s for Ethereum Grayscale Trust, because I think that price action, we're going to have a nice resting period followed by a healthy bounce that'll break us back up over resistance. That's my near-term call for Ethereum, and I can see us retesting those highs for Ethereum, and even possibly breaking them as we move on to proof of stake. So with all that talked about in Ethereum, I want to stop by DraftKings. So for DraftKings, I don't believe that they disclosed the network that their NFTs run on, the non-fungible tokens. But I believe it's rumored to be Polygon is what they're using in order to mint their NFTs. And there we go. We'll zoom in a little bit on this one. So DraftKings, you can see currently right now it's sitting at around support levels in the low 25s. And I have that support line drawn in there for you. And I think that from here, that we could recover nicely under the right market conditions. The gambling industry, online gambling industry, and online sports betting and esports industries, those are all ones that are supposed to be very good. And I think that the NFTs are going to be huge moving forward for DraftKings, not only monetizing them well within their own marketplace and platform. I think that they're going to find really nice ways to innovate and build hype and really leverage their, I think they have over 5 million users on their platform, and the acquisition with Golden Nugget Online Gaming should also really build into that. And I just think that there's a lot of really cool ways to leverage the NFTs and really have people hold on to them, sort of like badges, but they're unique badges. And I think that they also need to be careful of saturation within their own marketplace, that they spread it out, that they pace it out, and maybe have different classifications or different tiers. So there would be things that would be very common, but also have some uncommon. And they've already started to do that with their NFTs that they put out. Tom Brady was one of them that they recently had sales on, and that was very successful. They sold out in minutes. Wayne Gretzky, I think, is coming up. I don't think they put out the Wayne Gretzky NFTs yet. And then Is Osaka the name? It's a tennis player. And I don't follow tennis, so forgive me for not knowing the tennis player's name. I'm going off memory here. Let me see. Well, from a day ago, here's the thing about Wayne Gretzky, and they might mention it here. DraftKings Marketplace broadens to Canada ahead of exclusive Wayne Gretzky NFT drops from Autograph. So, yeah, that'll be cool. All right, where's the other ones? Oh, yeah, we should stop by Palantir along the way. DraftKings Marketplace autographs sold out entire first premiere. They might actually mention in this one. I'm trying to look back from a few days ago. I think maybe August the 10th was that day. Let me see. Emerald, Sapphire, and Ruby. The Q. 10,000 premiere NFTs for the inaugural Tom Brady digital collectibles by Autograph. Good. Okay. I'm not seeing the names in here. I'm not going to go on with it for very long, but I think DraftKings is doing the right thing by getting into the NFT space. While the market's hot on them and really establishing possibly an early point that could be a very good part of their history for DraftKings having those NFTs on their marketplace. I think that could really be something that helps out their revenues. And, you know, I don't know if they would stand to benefit at all from secondary markets that somebody, once they own it, selling it somewhere else. I don't believe so. But, you know, possibly, I mean, so I don't know. I don't know about this. It's something I have to read about. But imagine that you get that NFT on DraftKings Marketplace, but that you could also resell the NFTs on DraftKings Marketplace. Because if that's a thing, if you can really do that, then DraftKings could always take a portion of the sales for offering that marketplace opportunity. So sort of like what eBay does already, just also for DraftKings. So for DraftKings, we have the 200-day as a resistance. In my one resistance line I've drawn in at $53 is near that already. And then it looks like we keep falling shy of that $55 mark. I have $54.90 drawn in here as a line of resistance. And we had that double top where we just failed to break it. So I think that we have a price range for DraftKings you can see on the 50 period here, about $50 per share being support. And I think that also has round number support to it, more of a psychological support. And so I think 50 to 55, that little range that we have, not really all that little, but I can see us being stuck, being range bound between those two values for DraftKings as time plays out. So we'll have to see. Let's zoom out more so we can look a little left. So we have higher lows coming up. Excellent. We put in a higher high, also excellent. So really, we could be moving in a very bullish direction for DraftKings over the longer term, and possibly we could come back and see over the next 12 months, and it goes right along with the analyst estimates. We could come back and see those $70 values. It'd be really interesting to watch how they do during the NFL season, because I believe that's going to be very huge for them. So with that mentioned, let's also stop by Skills. So Skills, I think, is something that, first of all, from where it was at, up over $40 per share, it's like 1/4. It's less than 1/4 the value that it was at its peak. And this was definitely overhyped. So when it was up in the 30s, it started getting a little bit rich. Up in the 40s, I said, I think it's going to tumble down back when it happened. And it did. I expect it to hold a little bit steadier in the 30s. But then we had tech and high growth sell off, so it didn't really hold. And then we actually had a little bit of a bullish look here, and then that failed. And then their revenues, I was reading up more about this. So the advertising that they put out wasn't to get more monthly active users on the platform, but it was more to increase the engagement of the players that are already existing on the platform. And I'm not totally sure of their motivation there, but that would be one small explanation for why they didn't build up the monthly active users. So watching insider selling could be something to definitely watch out for. Andrew Paradise 5 months ago, was back in March, did $200 million worth of insider selling. And then their chief technology officer did a couple $1 million worth more recently. And so being the chief technology officer, you know, some people got to wonder, does he know something that we don't, or is he just, you know, being paid what is rightfully his by cashing in on some of his shares? So really watching how they perform over the longer term it's just going to be a big old question mark because of where they find themselves being in the esports realm and playing those games of skills for real cash prizes. They need to find viral games. They need to get users to their platform, and they need to be ones that actually are monthly transacting users that are actually spending on their platform, because the spending on the platform is where skills is going to get their money from. And I bring up skills from DraftKings and talk about the NFL because there's the NFL deal that we have to wait all the way until next year, next summer 2022, to find out what sort of games have been made and how they're going to be played from those developers with that NFL deal. And we don't even know all the details of the NFL deal. So I think that skills could benefit from a little bit more transparency to let us know more about what's going on, how they stand to capitalize, what the details of the deal are. So those are all things that we want to watch out for. So it will be risky. It will be touch and go. In the next earnings, we definitely want to see an inflection back upward in the monthly active users. And especially if it retakes the previous high that they had for monthly active users. I think that that's going to be a big metric for showing adoption for their platform. So I think that they also Endgame, I think, was one of their either partnerships or acquisitions. I think it may have been a partnership, but to get more real-time play on their platform. And if they're able to capitalize on that real-time play and turn it into a chance for profitability from the user standpoint, that could be one of those areas where we also see some sort of strength coming back in for them. So we'll definitely keep our eyes out on that and see how it goes. Let's check out Fisker. All right, so for Fisker, recently they had a decent sell-off. And actually, on my one live stream, I bought, I think, 10 shares. The money that I have here on Webull is from what I've gotten from people using my referral link on Webull and getting the free shares. So it's not a huge account by any means. It's one that hopefully I get some more signups and that people take their free stocks. And as a result of those referrals, that I also get the kickback of some free stocks as well. So it's a nice way to support yourself while supporting the channel. So if you haven't got Webull already and you're able to, you might as well check it out. So we found a nice little bottom so far for Fisker, their pre-production for their EVs. So that's something in late 2022 that we're actually watching for the Fisker Ocean. So hopefully we don't get any delays there. And we also want to know more about the orders, about the production, and then ultimately the deliveries to find out more of what's going on for Fisker. And so right now, tagging just below support at about $14 per share. Drop down as low as it looks like the mid 13s. But right now, my cursor, there we go, low to mid 13s. So 1330, where are we at? Low price, 1345 was that day. So this is one I like Fisker as a company, and I think that they're going to bring back some of that strength. And I think that some of this was a bit of an overreaction for Fisker. So we'll see. We have a little bit of a linear downtrend taking place. Let's get rid of this one, because that was one that I said wouldn't hold forever, but one that might hold in the short term, and it completely just fell right through on this day. So we'd have to go back and look at the news for Fisker. Let me see. My cursors are giving me trouble today. 8/12. So that was Thursday of last week. We'd have to look at the news to see what caused it to drop. Now, with that said, if you look across the bottoms that we have here, let me toss up a trend line. So from here down to about there, we're running fairly linear across the bottoms of these, and the tops are also trailing down. So this is one that we're sort of entering a little bit of a bearish period for Fisker, but I think that what it's going to create, and again, none of this is financial advice. These are just my own thoughts and reflections. So take from it whatever you will. I think that this is going to be one that that might trail off a little bit more over time, following this little line that I've drawn on here. Finding support next time around 1226 is when I have that support line drawn in. After that's 965. But I think that we're going to find out over time that this is going to be one that that takes these prices and then starts breaking back through, starts curving up the other way, and overtaking some of these other highs that we saw when it peaked up near $20 per share, even a little bit over $20 per share. So even though these lows recently are trending downward, we still haven't retested this low that we had back here in May for Fisker. All right, let's see what else we got moving here. American Steel, Tesla. There's the Abercrombie and Fitch for retail. Let's see if we can grab a hold of NEO, not MTG. There we go. Look at that little break under support that we have for NEO. So the lows are doing fine, and then there we go. I'm trying to wait for this thing to zoom out for me so it doesn't jump a lot for us. There we go. So for NEO, I said that I wouldn't be too surprised if it fell back to 35. I said I'd be really surprised if it fell back to 30. So we're gonna have to watch this. We did break down under this little diagonal line that I have here for support. Our highs are also been trending downward since we peaked at about $55 per share. So we're going to have to keep our eyes on that for what happens over time. So if you're a long-term investor, these are definitely dollar cost averaging opportunities. If you're a short-term investor, so a swing trade, you have a decent amount of downside risk that's present right here across these lows. Let's see if my cursor will cooperate this time. It looks like around 33 or 34 where we at. Low price 34. It's like $34 per share. So about 10% down from where it's currently at. And if you go 2 to 1 for risk to reward ratio, we have room up to 45 before we make it back to those moving averages that are up here as well. So, and honestly, retaking those moving averages, I think once a little bit of the drama passes from what we have here with the Chinese markets and the Delta variant and everything like that, as that passes and as we get some of that levity coming back, we could retake that, which almost gives us that 20% upside. So that is pretty wide. It is pretty risky to have the percentages that far apart, but I think that we'll be back in the 40s within a relatively short amount of time with NEO. I don't think that we'll see the extended sell-off that we saw from the time that they were up over $70 per share. I'm sorry, not 7. I was thinking of XPeng. Almost $67 per share. We stayed there for a little while, and then tech, high growth, EV sell-off, and then we recovered a little bit from there. I think we're soon to see that next wave of recovery coming up for the EVs, and I think that NEO is going to move nicely with them. All right, let's check out some of the losers. There we go. Polygon taking a hit with the rest of crypto. It's not down hugely, and we're not going to see a lot here. So Polygon, I think the merger news that it had with Hermes, I think it's going to be very well received over the longer term. That we're going to see some really good price action coming out of it. It looks a lot like the Ethereum chart does. It looks a lot like what the Bitcoin chart does, and the fact that it's down today could create another small buying opportunity. Not nearly as good as what we had when it dropped way down below $1. I was able to capitalize on some of that, so this time my timing worked out, and it worked out really well. But I also think that we're going to continue to hit resistance right around that $1.50 mark. So 15 cents up from what it's now. So a little over 10% upside from where it's currently trading. And I could see Polygon. Polygon's very popular. And is it Tom Brady who's part of Autograph? It might be. But with the NFTs running on Polygon is something that can really help them out over time. And bringing in the ZK roll-ups with Hermes, ZK being for zero knowledge, and it's a proof type where there's two different parties and neither one really has knowledge or one doesn't. My goodness, I'm getting this confused. It's a little bit tricky because I haven't really worked directly with the zero knowledge proofs, but I've read extensively about them. So I'd have to go back and refresh my memory. But basically, it's a way to confirm the transactions that are there in order to validate that current block for the blockchain. And as a roll up, what it does, it takes a bunch of transactions and bundles them into a single transaction, and it's more efficient that way, and it also lowers transaction fees that way. And so Hermes brings a little bit more of that scalability and a little bit more of that efficiency to the side chain that Polygon is. And as that merger takes place, I think we're going to continue to see really good price action coming out of Polygon as we move forward. All right, let's see what else we got. Wow, Lordstown is way down there. So I know that there's some people who like Lordstown Motors. I know there's a lot of people who really don't like Lordstown Motors. And I can tell you that I don't know enough to feel one way or the other about them. But when I look at the chart for this, you can see all that excitement that it had. And it's kind of sold off to a point of almost irrelevance in the markets, that we really see a lot of this really depressed price action. And I think that they had a test vehicle that caught on fire at one point in time within the past few months, and just a lot of that price coming out of it. So when we look at this, that sell-off that we had, you know, I don't think that they're in production yet. I think that they might still be in the test phases. Like I said, it's not one that I know hugely about, but seeing it drop to $5 per share, you know, it might be merited. It could be one that's just a failing car company. I don't know those things. I don't follow this stock. But it's one that if they're just having a rough time, and you know, it's just the growing pains of being part of the EV industry, well, then it's one that that I could see some people making a case that it could turn around. I don't know enough to make that case. To me, it's just incredible knowing the prices that it had traded at one point in time, up over $30 per share. That now it's only about 1/6 of the price that it used to be, and we have a significant downtrend down below the moving averages. So I don't know if any of you guys follow it, but if you had any feedback that you wanted to toss, that would be positive news. For Lordstown, you can most definitely do that. Let me see what else we got. Virgin Galactic. In the mid-20s. And so we're finally getting down into these 11 analyst estimates that we have on this, over half of which say to hold it. So probably 6 holds. And then it looks like maybe 2 underperforms. And so that would leave, so 6 and 2. So that's 8. So we have about 3 people saying buy it, or calling it a strong buy. And if we dip below 20, I think that we have some buying opportunities for Virgin Galactic. And it's definitely going to be one of those momentum type plays that, you know, it's just going to be the next big news that comes along that really moves it. So I'd rather let this, if I was going to play it, it wouldn't be a long-term trade. It would be more of a swing trade. And I would like to let it cool down and trade significantly below $20 before I consider jumping back in. Honestly, retesting this low that we had back here, at around $15 per share, then I might consider it, given other factors, or if I knew some near-term catalyst that was coming up that I thought was going to move them in a positive direction. All right, what else we got? Lucid. There we go. So I have these lines drawn on here. I couldn't tell you when I drew them. I should put dates on them so we can see when they were, but look how nicely it's riding along support. So that support coming in the low 22s. For Lucid, I mean, I think that we're sitting in a fairly good place right now, and this could be setting up a nice little range trade for us. That 22 up to 24. Keep grabbing 8 to 10% of your money, and you know, you have a buy zone, you have a sell zone, wash, rinse, repeat. There's probably money people have made a significant amount of money off the most recent price action for Lucid. For me, the money that I made on it was when I bought it at $18 when it was CCIV, and it ran up over, I think it was over $60 per share. Yes, it went up almost to 65, and I sold in the high 50s, I believe, and then again in the high 30s. And so the position that I have right now is somewhere, I'm gonna have to look. I think it's in the mid 20s is where I'm at. So right now I'm in the red for my current position, but it was all used from profits that I got from my initial position that I had in CCIV, taking advantage of what I felt were inflated prices at the time. I said a few videos prior that having that low to mid 20s is about right for right now, that we should jump around in there for a while. And as they move on to their production, I think that we're going to start to see mid to high 20s, possibly even $30 per share to end 2021. And then depending on what sort of numbers we get, then we can start to see that price action above $30 per share throughout 2022. We'll just have to watch the performance, and we'll have to watch for them meeting their promises, exceeding their promises, or if they fall short of their promises over time. All right, so let's see what else we have. Arcamoto is actually back under 11, not bad. Riot Blockchain, Snapchat's in the low 70s. That's about right for them. Where's Macy's at? Macy's is 1773. There you go. All right, I said I wanted to stop by Palantir. So let's stop by Palantir. Oh, there we go. Helps if I type the right ticker. Perfect. So rocking about $24 per share. So honestly, I think that this is a really comfortable number right now. And you can see just how well we're using the 50-period moving average, in this case, the 50-day simple moving average, as support for Palantir. And I think 24-ish, $23, $24, I think is a very comfortable price right now for Palantir. I think that it's going to continue to bring in some excitement. I think it's going to continue to surprise. And I think that it's going to be huge as time goes on for Palantir. And coming back to a sub-20 type level without any different news about the company would be incredibly astounding and surprising. And for me, if we do go below 21, to me, that's a little bit of a load zone where I would buy a little bit more heavily rather than a typical dollar cost averaging from its current price. All right, so let's check out my friend 3D Systems. And I say my friend, but more like an acquaintance, because I'm not an investor in 3D technologies, because it keeps on, the opportunities come, the opportunities go. And I always find myself looking the other direction when the opportunities come along. So I would like a position in the mid to low 20s for this one. And right now it's running about 28. And you can see all the times, I mean, this thing dropped below 20 at one point in time to $17.47. And I remember watching it go sub 20, and I was like, wow, that is really cheap. And for whatever reason, I didn't take advantage of it. And honestly, if I did, I would have sold that position when I saw my position double somewhere around in here. Because if it goes 2x very early, oftentimes you get a significant pullback, in which case I would buy back in. So, or another thing that I like to do is that if it does go 2x very early, I'll sell half my position. And that way it completely de-risks my position. I didn't make anything, I didn't lose anything, but I still hold on to those shares. So it puts me in the green overall. So it's very good for lowering my cost basis. And then typically you get a bit of a sell-off as things settle down over time. And that's certainly what has happened. So I like 3D Systems. It's one that I wouldn't mind having a position on. I just don't want to pay high 20s for it. I want to pay mid 20s, or low 20s. I think below 20s would be incredible. I just don't think we're going to see it again anytime soon. Should we come back to down to 25, it's going to be tough for me to decide if I want to take that position. But I will keep my eyes peeled for it. I think that the 3D printing space, the additive manufacturing space itself, just because of what it can create, where subtractive manufacturing could not, it just opens up a world of possibilities. And getting it up to enormous scalable worldwide production levels is something that that when we see that come out, as those companies continue to innovate and build out, and if NNDM especially can get up to those manufacturing production levels beyond the rapid prototyping levels that they're at now, I mean, they're just going to be absolutely enormous. I wonder sometimes, like, honestly, 3D Systems, knowing what they manufacture, and if they could bring NNDM into that and be able to do both with the Dragonfly system along with 3D systems, 3D printing systems. I think that if you could bring those two together, that you get some really awesome, very small, very sleek, very usable, highly efficient devices out of that. So we'll see as time goes on where those synergies are found in the 3D printing space. I absolutely love that one. All right. It's about 10:17. I always aim to end at 10 o'clock. And as usual, I've gone over. So thank you guys for stopping by. I will most definitely be back tomorrow at 9:15 for another live stream. And we'll see what's going on in crypto. Remember that if we get those engulfing candles from Ethereum and from Bitcoin, that we have a nice indicator that is going to turn around and just push higher and possibly break through resistance sometime soon. I don't think that this climb upward, this bullish run that we found ourselves on most recently in the crypto space, I don't think it's done. I think that we have the bulls grazing a little bit in the pasture, just chomping away on the grass and refueling for that next run. So let it catch its breath and watch it play out, watch it continue. I highly doubt at this point that we're going to be pushed down to those levels that we saw recently, where Bitcoin was teasing the $30,000 line and Ethereum was teasing the 2,000 down even to $1,700 line. I think that those days are gone for now, and at least in this run, that we're not going to see that. I think first, sooner than that, we'll see retested highs from all-time highs. And that could play out over the next few months, so sometime September to November, to watch that happen. And, you know, I'm going to enjoy the ride regardless. All right. So thank you, guys. If you haven't hit the like button, please do. The super chat features, you know, if you'd like to use them, just add further support. So if you made any money off of some of the stuff that I talked about and you'd like to reflect something back to me, you can. The referral links for Moo are down there. You can get your free stocks by signing up and doing your deposit of $100. Up to 4 free stocks valued up to $3,500. Weebul's also down there, 2 free stocks valued up to $2,300. And also, as always, the Patreon link is also down there. So thank you guys. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.